This sutta is entitled Bahu Dhatuka Sutta from Sutta Discovery SD 29.1a. 29.1a. 29 means volume 29. It was done in 2008. And then it was revised every year. We check and then update it. I'm very happy with the sutta because there is a problem section there, very controversial. And I was resting and I was thinking about it. Then this thought came to me. This is how we should translate it. And then I will come to it and I will tell you what I realized at the moment. So this SD 29.1a, it is volume 39, Sutta 1a, 1 part 1 if you like. So before I go on, you all can hear me clearly. Eh? No problem with the volume, right? Okay, good. Okay, this Bahu Dhatuka Sutta, Bahu means many, Dhatuka on the elements. Dhatu means elements, the ka ending make it like an adjective, okay? The discourse, Sutta discourse on the many elements. This is Sutta M115. M is Majjhima Nikaya, middle length collection. That is the second collection of the suttas. Sutta number 115. That means it's near the end already. No? Majjhima has got 152 suttas. So the theme here are on the various elements, 18 elements, dependent arising, and what is possible, what is not possible. Okay. Now, what's interesting in this sutta, the Buddha is also telling us how to deal with fears, difficulties, and problems. Bhaya, upaddava, upasagga. So the sutta tells us that people who are foolish, ignorant, will have all these fears, difficulties, problems. But if you're wise and you know your suttas well, you are Dhamma-centered, Dhamma-spirited, then you will know what to do. It's not that you don't have any problem, but you know what to do. Problems will teach you things. Problems make you better. So this is a very wonderful thing to say, this sutta. So what the Buddha is saying, if you are wise and clever, you won't have problems. That is, you are investigators, vīmaṁsaka, investigators. You investigate. You find out what's going on here. What is this about, right? So this is a very common habit for Buddhists. What is this about? Whenever you see something going on in your life, what is this about? Don't jump into conclusions. We all jump to conclusions, right? We say something and then, oh, you don't like me. You say something and you think of this, think of that, right? So take a moment and ask, what is this about? Right? So then you're investigating, all right? Sometimes the investigation has to be natural, even passive. You just let it go. Just like this difficult section towards the end with the 28 possibilities and impossibilities. For years, I've been thinking about it and I didn't really come to any solution. I know how to explain this part of the difficult part of the sutta, but then I realized there is a simpler way to solve it by translating this particular word in a way which is neutral. So this will come to at the right time, right? I won't tell you now so that you will be wondering, and it helps you to stay on with some attention. Okay, the sutta has got lots of details, so I might as well start right away. Let's go to the next section with the sutta itself. Bahu Dhatuka Sutta, the discourse on the many elements, M115. Thus have I heard at one time the Blessed One was staying in Anathapindika's park in Jetas Grove near Savatthi. So this is the usual place the Buddha gave thousands of teachings. There the Blessed One addressed the monks thus, Bhikshus, Bhante, the monks answered, the Blessed One in assent. And we might add even in unison. This is very nice resonant sound, Bhante. The Blessed One said this, Bhikshus, whatever fears that arise, They all arise to the foolish, not to the wise. Whatever mishaps, difficulties that arise, they all arise to the foolish, not to the wise. Whatever troubles or problems that arise, they all arise to the foolish, not to the wise. Okay, so that is the starting, if you like, kind of like a background. Yeah. So then next 2.4, the Buddha says, let me see. Okay, the Buddha repeats the whole thing there. The foolish is beset by fears, beset by mishaps, beset by troubles, but the wise are not. All right. So why does Buddha keep repeating these things? Because this is the oral tradition, and people's attention sometimes are short or they get distracted because it's a big crowd. So this repetition helps us to latch on to the teaching, to remember the teaching. Repetition is very important because we keep forgetting the teachings. We've been listening for so many years, but still we forget because we are so busy. We remember for a while, and then we go into the world, we go back to our work, and we forget it. Okay. Of course, some of us, we can notice there is this growth, there's a development. Of course, you can't really see that obviously from outside, but inside you have that wonderful, happy feeling. Then the Buddha concludes his first part, 2.4. Therefore, bhikshus, thinking we shall be wise investigators. We shall be investigators or wise investigators. Not just investigate, but investigate in the wise and beneficial way. Thus, bhikshus, you should train yourself. So this is the short teaching, all right? The syllabus, if you like. And then the Buddha will go into detail and then tell us what to do, all right? So let's see. Let's go on to the next section. The wise monk, a triple investigator. Now you remember that this word investigator is used in another sutta called the vīmaṁsaka Sutta, where the Buddha says that told his disciples that they should also investigate him, see whether he's keeping the precepts, is he behaving properly or not, and so on. Even his thoughts are pure. You know, the problem is, how do we know the Buddha's mind, right? How do we know that another person, for that matter? The point is this: the Buddha is saying you got to examine even me, fact me out, see that I'm behaving properly. He's talking to us in the future. So if the Vīmaṁsaka Sutta tells us to examine even the Buddha, that means we should also examine our teachers, laymen or monks. We should keep an eye on them, make sure that they practice the teachings themselves. All right. That is why self-reliance is very important. Right? You hear the teachers, they give you the Dharma, but you have to practice it yourself. There is spiritual friendship, of course. There is the give and take. There is this joy of friendship, but you have to practice the Dharma yourself. That's the meaning. Yeah? All right. 3. When this was spoken, the Venerable Ananda said this to the Blessed One. So you have Ananda kind of coming in and helping along, asking the Buddha, in what way, Bhante? Is it right to say that a monk is called wise investigator? Right? Now you may wonder, why did Ananda cut in like that? Well, you must imagine the Buddha is talking very slowly and then he's quite calm, he didn't say anything. And then Ananda is a bit concerned, and then he cuts in and says, Bhante, tell us more about who's this wise investigator. And then the Buddha replies, Ananda, when a monk is skilled in the elements, skilled in the sense spaces, skill in dependent arising, and skill in the possible and the impossible, To that extent, Ananda, a monk is called wise, an investigator, or if you can translate as wise investigator. Now, these are the 4 parts of the sutta, all right? These are the 4 sections. So here again, you have the syllabus, and it's going to go into details in 4 parts. So now we look at the first part. You can see section 4 and then brackets 1, right? Brackets 1. So that's the one, number 1. So you can connect. You can see the round brackets the same as the round brackets in number 1, which is the skill in the elements. So it goes like that. So that one expands into this long section. So once you know this kind of internal apparatus of the sutta discovery method, you find it's very easy to follow, very easy to teach also. That's why a lot of people, they like to use this. Many of the Buddhist universities, they use this, they use our notes now. 4 brackets 1. But Bhante, in what way, Bhante, is it right to say that a monk is skilled in the elements? Ananda, there are these 18 elements. Okay, now the Buddha talks about we should be investigating the 18 elements. We should be aware of the 18 elements. That's what we are. So here, first, start with the I, okay? Now, once you talk about the I, you know, okay, I, then there's the ear, nose, tongue, body. Number 6 is the mind. There are the 6 senses, in other words. And then you notice 1, 2, 3, I form the I consciousness element. So each of the sense faculty, sense organ if you like, but the better word is sense faculty, has got 3 parts. So 3 times 6, you get 18. So a lot of numbers in Buddhism. So this pattern sustains itself. It's always there. So you notice in the translation, I use this pictorial method where the paragraph or the alignment is staggered. I see it here. First indentation, second indentation, third indentation, and then starts again here, right? So you see they are a set. And I give you the Pali word here, this to encourage you to learn Pali, right? So we have the I element, Chakku Dhatu. Why is the word element here? This element is, how shall we say, it's like in English, a thing. It's something to tell you this is an important item. It has got no special meaning in itself. It means so many things. You can even replace it with the word Dharma if you like, all right? So the I element, the I thing, okay? Or simply the I. The Buddha could have said the I, you know. All right, Chakku Dhatu. Yeah? But here, the word Dhatu is a common denominator. It means it's a set, right? So Chakku Dhatu, Rupa Dhatu, you can say Rupa, form Rupa if you like. And then Chakku Vijnana Dhatu, right? The I consciousness element. Notice Chakku is a dot here, not a comma. So in other words, this dot means these 2 words are a phrase, Chakku Vijnana, I consciousness. And then comma splits up the long Pali word, it splits it up, Dhatu is another word by itself. Chakku Vijnana Dhatu. So this pattern is called the triangle of experience. The I form. I is internal organ, internal sense space. Form, external sense space. And then there is this consciousness, attention. So the 3 joined together, there is contact, and then you go on from there, you get like dependent arising. So these are the 3 triangle of experience, how we sense something. In 1, 2, 3 is how we see. 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, how we hear. Ear element, sound element, consciousness element. You can learn the Pali words on the right-hand side yourself, right? So we got 6 already. And then the nose, the nose element, smell element, the nose consciousness element. This is what we are. We are made up of these senses. Then the tongue element, the taste element, tongue consciousness element. Notice it's almost technical, almost scientific in the way the terms are used, very exact. 13, the body element, the touch element, the body consciousness element. I often like to say there are no technical terms in Pali, but this is close to having technical terms. Technical terms means the word has only one meaning. So in this case, these words have, in a sense, one meaning. Body element refers to the body, and then touch element, the body consciousness element. In that sense, it's this technical, but it is not always so. No? Then 16 onwards, the mind element, that's the mind itself, the thinking process. Mind object element, what the mind thinks about. And the mind consciousness element, the attention. So notice there are three things here. You have the mind and what the mind thinks about, and there is the attention. So this attention is a kind of choice, that you have a choice not to think something. Otherwise, we can't get out of this suffering. So there you are. These are the 18 elements. So you can take any three and start reflecting on it. And then you go on like that. You build it up. Doesn't mean you need to know everything overnight. You select the set that you like. And from the set, you select the part that you can understand and you build up on that. And if you do this bit by bit every day, once a week, but you make sure you do it, you don't do like once a year and then forget after that. Then of course you won't learn anything. All right. It's just like when I do my translation work, even my essay writing, I just do a bit, one section, and main thing that stops me is my physical strength. After a while I get tired, and then my eyes will get tired. Then I can't see so well, so I have to rest. And then I wish I don't have to rest. I wish I was a day where I could sit here whole day, but you can't. The body is like that. So I rest and I come back and then do this work. Then I've got to go for exercise, spend an hour in the park, do my elder yoga. So I wish I don't have to do that, but I have to, otherwise it'll be the end of me very fast. Then I won't be able to do my work. So you got to make that sacrifice. That's a renunciation, to spend time with the Dharma, right? So these are the 18 elements. Spend time with it. Spend time with them. Okay, then Ananda continues. 5. But Bhante, might there be yet another way whereby we could rightly say that a monk is skilled in the elements, right? So here Ananda is very curious. Are there other ways? So the Buddha already listed those things out there. So Ananda is just like, reminding the Buddha, don't forget to finish your discourse, no? Ananda, there are these 6 elements, namely, okay, now the Buddha talks about the 6 elements. What are they? So you have the 18 elements are our senses in terms of internal, external, and attention. Now the 6 elements are all external. Actually, the 6 elements are based on the 4 elements. 1, 2, 3, 4 are the famous 4 elements: earth, water, fire, wind. The earth element, Patawi. Right? In Malay, it's Pertiwi. Notice how close they are. Next time you hear Pertiwi, say, this comes from Pali, Sanskrit, Patawi, meaning earth. All right, Dhatu, this earth thing. All right, Apo is water element. That's how we are. We are earth element, our bones and solid parts. Water element, most of the liquid. Here, water means liquid. Earth means solid. Water means liquid. Fire element is heat. Whatever burns, oxidation, decay. The wind element is movement, motion, gas. The air we take in, the air we give out, the gases in our body. Now, we cannot translate this as solid, liquid, heat, and motion, or whatever scientific name, because the Buddha is not talking science. There's no science in early Buddhism. These are different ways the Buddha teaches us to reflect on the nature of matter. Of course, it's close to science, yes, and that's all we can say, right? So don't bring in science. Then you're putting Buddhism below science. You know, you think, oh, Buddhism is scientific. Buddhism is not scientific. They are two different things, all right? I mean, it's not that Buddhism is unscientific. I'm not saying Buddhism is unscientific. I'm saying Buddhism is not science. There are two different ways of looking at the world. Of course, you can look at Buddhism as science if you like, but it's just a comparison. So don't get too excited with this comparison. Then you get distracted, all right? Of course, it helps a scientist to understand, say, wow, this Buddha is amazing. How did he know all these things? So first, the Buddha says, you see these four, this is what we are physically, and the things around us are made of these four elements, of the same four elements. And then there is space around it. You need space, right? So that's the fifth element. Usually we don't talk about the fifth element. Here you are, that's the fifth element, space. Notice the Pali word is akasa. Akasa. In Malay, they follow the Sanskrit word, angkasa, right? So angkasa means universe. So the meaning is a bit different there. Actually, it means outer space, right? All right, then you have consciousness. This is the difficult one. Vijnana. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 are the physical element in our body. They are simply matter. Consciousness is not matter, it's our mind. So our mind and body togetherness, no? The consciousness. Space is what envelopes us, but space also is within us, right? So space also is kind of like separate from the four elements, so to speak. So these are ways of looking at what we really are, similar to things all around us. We have a separate study on the elements. So if you want, you can write in and ask for it. Okay, then Ananda is still curious. But Bhante, might there be yet another way whereby we could rightly say that a monk is skilled in the elements? Oh, what elements? Huh? So there might be Ananda. Ananda, there are these 6 elements, another set of 6 elements. Notice that's why you cannot be too exact with the word elements in your translation. You can translate it as, I mean, in your mind, the meaning is thing, this thing, that thing, 6 things. What are these 6 elements? So this time the Buddha is talking about something mental or something that's not physical. 1, the physical pleasure element. 2, the physical pain element. All right, so this has to do with the body. Bodily pleasure, bodily pain. Sukha, dukkha. Then mental joy element, so manasa, mental joy or mental pleasure, if you like. And then displeasure, mental pain, if you like. The displeasure or grief element. Notice the Pali word is more poetic, né? Sukha, dukkha. 1 and 2 is sukha, dukkha, and then 3 and 4, so manasa, do manasa. Right? So plus manasa. Mana means mind. Do plus mana. You get do manasa. Then number 5 is equanimity. Equanimity means neither pleasure nor pain. Now notice here, there's only 1 equanimity. So the Abhidhamma people will say, there you see, there's only 1 equanimity, because equanimity is neither pleasure nor pain. So you don't have 1 for the body, 1 for the mind. It's just neutral, absence of pleasure and pain. So this 1. Then the Buddha adds number 6, the ignorance element, avijjada 2. We don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on at all. That also is an element. Okay? How interesting it is. Eh? So what the Buddha is saying is 6 things you should know. All right. So these are the 6 elements insofar as he sees them, to the extent Ananda, it is right to say that the monk is skilled in the 6 elements. So choose one of these sets, reflect on it, all right? Especially before going to bed, or if you get up early, just read the sutta. 7. But Bhante, might there be yet another way whereby we could rightly say that the monk is skilled in the elements? Wow, Ananda wants to know more. There might be Ananda. Ananda, there are these 6 elements. So there's another set, I think set number 4, isn't it? This time the Buddha extends the idea to cover the whole a bit more. No? There is the sensual element, desire. There is the renunciation element. So this is opposite. Sensual element is you want more and more of things. Renunciation is letting go, letting go. And notice karma dhatu, nekama dhatu. And there's the ill will element, vyapada. And then there's the non-ill will element, the opposite, avyapada. So this loving kindness, compassion, and so on. Then you have cruelty element. This is thinking of harming others, vihimsa. And the opposite is non-cruelty. This is compassion. Right? So you have the 6 kind of emotions, if you like. Right? So you can look at different ways what we are. These Ananda are the 6 elements. So far as a system, to the extent Ananda, it is right to say that the monk is skilled in the elements. So Ananda still not satisfied. It's going to ask one more question, number 8. Okay, let's go out of it a bit more. Okay. But Bhante, might there be yet another way whereby we could rightly say that the monk is skilled in the elements? And there might be, Ananda, says the Buddha. Right. Go on, up some more. Ananda, there are these 3 elements. Okay, this time it's much less. There are these 3 elements, namely the sensual elements, the sensual element or sense element, if you like, kama dhatu, the form element, rupa dhatu, and the formless element, arupa dhatu. Now this is interesting, see, because these are the 3 worlds. But I don't think you can translate kama dhatu as world. Here, the term is what it is made of. All right, in the sense world, kama loka, you have this element, this thing that is sensual desire. Why is it called sensual desire? Because it's based on the senses, the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. The eye wants to see more nice things, they want to see ugly things, wants to hear nice things, want to hear nasty things, and so on. So you have this kind of karma, this sensual desire. Then there's the form element, which is a little higher, where the mind goes beyond the body, it doesn't depend on the body. The mind is able to see by itself like that, without the eye, and so on. This is called rupa dhatu. This sometimes it is called fine material element. These are the jhana worlds, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th jhana. And then there's the formless element, arupa dhatu. This is where the mind goes even beyond the mind itself, so to speak, very refined kind of mind. So these Ananda are the 3 elements. Insofar as it sees them, to that extent, Ananda, it is right to say that the monk is skilled in the elements. This time the Buddha is going like into the whole universe, as it were. And then 9, again Ananda is still curious. But Bhante, might there be yet another way we could rightly say that the monk is skilled in the elements? There might be, Ananda. Ananda, there are these 2 elements, namely the conditioned element and the unconditional element. So notice that's getting less. No? It's as if the Buddha is telling Ananda, okay, so many questions. Okay, let's cut it down a number. Okay, now we have 2 elements. This time is dividing the world, the whole of existence. whatever is around us in this universe is the conditioned element, Sankata Dhatu. The unconditioned element is only one, it is Nirvana. Now, in a sense, there's a bit of debate here. The space, outer space also is regarded as unconditioned, but that's just a concept, all right? So we should not get too caught up with it, and you never get enlightenment that way. So, conditioned, unconditioned. These Ananda are the two elements. So far as is system, to that extent, Ananda, it is right to say that the monk is skilled in the elements. Now the Buddha goes into a bit more detail. Ananda asks, notice this 10 and then 2, the second part, you know. It's been asking for more details on what the Buddha earlier said about the sense basis, all right? But Bhante, in what way, Bhante, when is it right to say that a monk is skilled in the sense basis? So he wants another once more detail. Yeah? The Buddha obliges. So yes, there might be another. There are these 6 internal and 6 external elements. So now notice the Buddha talks about 6 internal, 6 external. So it's kind of a variation on the earlier section 1 just now. The eye and forms. So it's a simplified version now. The eye and then forms. Ear and sounds, nose and smells, tongue and taste, the body and touches, and the mind and mind object. So this one is a kind of a revision. Yeah? So these Ananda are the 6 internal and 6 external sense spaces. Insofar as the system, to that extent, Ananda, it is right to say that the monk is skilled in the sense spaces. So we take all this for granted, but you have to examine this. Now, the Buddha goes, or rather Ananda asked the Buddha about part 3 now, 11.3. But Bhante, in what way, Bhante? When is it right to say that a monk is skilled in dependent arising? Wow, okay, this is a bit deep, no? All right, so here you see a summary of dependent arising. There are 2 parts. You always must know 2 parts if you want to study dependent arising. First, you have to learn about the basic theory of it. It's called specific conditionality, idapachayata. So you can see note 40 here for details. Here, Ananda, a monk understands thus. Monk means us, any one of us who's studying suttas, who's meditating. Okay. When this is, that is. With the arising of this, that arises. When this is not, that is not. With the ending of this, that ends. So these first 2 lines is about arising, second noble truth, if you like, and this last 2 pairs are the ending. So what arises must end. All right. So cause effect, cause effect. So this is a kind of twin cause effect. Yeah? And then this is applied to the 12 links. That is to say, with ignorance as condition, there are volitional formations. What does this mean? You have cause here, ignorance, and then you have the effect here, volitional formations. We normally don't use the word causes and effects because we don't want to have the idea that it comes from there. It's like oil and fire. You know, we don't say the fire is inside the oil. When there's oil and there's air and warmth and water is not there, there is fire. You know, if you light a match, there's fire. Of course, we under normal talk, we say the oil caused the fire, right? But then the point is when there's oil there, but there's no fire, so it doesn't always cause fire. So in exact Dharma language, you say arising when there is A B arises. All right, occurs, if you like. When there's oil, fire occurs. So ignorance leads to volitional formations, if you like. Volitional formations mean karmic actions. We act through body, speech, and mind with intention. With volitional formations or karma formations as condition, there is consciousness. So you become more conscious. As you act, you become more conscious. With consciousness as condition, there is name and form. You notice things, you label them, you remember them, and they make sense to you. You define them, you construct them. With name and form as condition, there are the 6 sense spaces. So whatever we identify, we name, they fall into one of the 6 sense spaces. Eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. With the 6 sense spaces as condition, there is contact, right? So eye, vision, visible object out there, and there's contact. So that's how it arises. All right. Then with contact as condition, there is feeling. So when you sense something, contact can mean sense. You sense something, sensing, feeling arises. With contact as condition, there is feeling. And when you feel something, you want it, you don't want it, right? So with feeling as condition, there is craving. With craving as condition, there is clinging. So when you crave for something, you get it, you hold on to it, you want it. When clinging, with clinging as condition, there is existence. So when you cling onto something, you become it, right? When you, whenever you squeeze something, it takes the shape of your hand, so to speak. You become it, right? So we have to be careful what we desire habitually. We become that sort of thing. And then with existence as condition, there is birth. Then we arise again. We become again and again. With birth as condition, there arise decay and death, sorrow, lamentation, physical pain, mental pain, and despair. Such is the arising of this whole mass of suffering. Now, this may not sound technically logical, but when you experience through life, you begin to see the pattern work in this way. Now then, if there is dependent arising, there is also dependent ending. So we'll just stop here for a while, then we'll continue with something familiar, and then we go on to the concluding part of the sutta, which is the controversial part. Now the Buddha goes on to talk about dependent ending. Remember last lesson I mentioned about dependent ending also. So this is the reverse. With the utter fading away and ending of ignorance, volitional formation ends. Right? So when we have no more ignorance, and we have wisdom, then we know what to do with karma. With the ending of volitional formations, in other words, we don't let karma take charge of our lives, then consciousness ends. There's no more arising of consciousness, meaning there's no new rebirth becoming. With the ending of consciousness, name and form ends. Then this mind doesn't measure things, name things, and so on. With the ending of name and form, the 6 sense spaces end. With the ending of the 6 sense spaces, contact end, right? So you have to worry about contact and sensing. With the ending of contact, feeling ends. So you're not troubled by painful feeling or attracted by pleasurable feeling. With the ending of feeling, craving ends. With the ending of craving, clinging ends. With the ending of clinging, existence ends. The ending of existence, birth ends. And with the ending of birth, the end, decay and death, sorrow, lamentation, physical pain, mental pain, and despair. Such is the ending of this whole mass of suffering. So nowhere in other religions you see anyone defining ending of suffering in this way, that happiness is defined in this way. So Ananda, to that extent, it is right to say that the monk is skilled in dependent arising. Now we go on to the difficult part, the one skill in the possible and the impossible, further down. Yeah? Okay, let's go down. That's right. Okay, section 12(4). So now notice this is section 4, right? Brackets 4. But Bhante, okay, here Ananda is talking again. In what way, when Bhante, is it right to say that a monk is skilled in the possible and the impossible? Okay, this is the controversial part. So here you have 28 possibilities and 28 impossibilities. So this is a kind of summary, all right? Here, Ananda, a monk understands that it is impossible, there is no chance that an individual attain to right view would regard any formation as permanent. This is not possible. And he understands that it is possible, there is a chance that an ordinary worldling would regard any formation as permanent. This is possible. So there you are. So the Buddha goes down into some fine details here. So this whole section is about right view. So I've given you the header then, right view, just to help us kind of arrange things. So under right view, you have three things, right? So first, someone who has attained right view will never see anything in this world as being permanent. And then everything repeats. He understands that it is impossible, there is no chance that an individual attained to right view will regard any formation as pleasurable. This is not possible. And he understands that it is possible, there is a chance that an ordinary worldling will regard any formation as pleasurable. That is possible. So someone with right view will never see something in this world as really pleasurable. Now this is a bit difficult for us because we are not yet an arahat, right? So here the Buddha is talking about this awakened mind, this mind with right view. No? We see something, we say, oh, this is nice, I like this, right? The point is this, we stop there, we don't go on. See, for example, we know, even though this is nice, but if we take too much of it, or after that, it causes us pain, suffering, or we get tired of it when we get it. So you have this kind of issues, that's the meaning here. But we just look at the surface and then, you know, we are happy with it. That's why we get into a lot of trouble. 3, he understands that it is impossible, there is no chance that an individual attained to right view would regard anything. Right? Notice this time, the anything is separated into two words. Anything, any dharma, it as self. That is, this is impossible. And he understands that it is possible, there is a chance that an ordinary worldly being, someone who's not awakened, would regard anything, dharma, as self. This is possible. That there is essence, something, an essence behind it, some kind of soul and so on, all right? But this is the third of the universal characteristics. Anicca, dukkha, anatta, if you like. Yeah? So here the Buddha is putting it into this 3 formula. The next set is on right conduct, number 13, section 13. Let's go further down. Okay, coming to it. Here we are. So this one, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 items, 6 passages. He, brackets 4. He understands that it is impossible, there's no chance that an individual attain to right view would deprive his mother of life. This is not possible. He understands that it is possible, there is a chance that an ordinary worldling would deprive his mother of life. This is possible. Right? So here the Buddha is simply saying, someone with right view will never kill his own mother. Someone with wrong view, someone who is a worldling, might do that. And the template is the same. So next one, kill the father, right? So someone who is attain to right view will never kill his father. For that matter, we never kill anyone, right? But here, father is mentioned special. Because the father is the one, the father and mother are the ones who give them the human life to progress. Only an ordinary worldling will kill his own father. Then number 6, he understands that it is impossible, there's no chance that an individual attain to right view will deprive an arahat of life. This is impossible. So someone with right view will never hurt, worse, kill an arahat. Most really nasty people, right? So only an ordinary worldling will do that. Number 7 is about the killing the Buddha. You can't kill the Buddha because it's karma as such, but you can hurt him, right, by causing his blood to flow, scratch him, harm him in that way. So only a worldling, someone who's very foolish, ignorant, will do that. Capable of doing that. Number 8 has to do with dividing the sangha. Only someone with right view will never break up the sangha. In other words, they will always respect the sangha, here meaning the properly instituted order of monks. Yeah? Here, the ordinary wielding will cause a split, a breakup, disunity in the sangha, but not the one with right view. Number 9 is interesting. It says here, he understands that it is impossible, there is no chance that an individual attain to right view would declare another as teacher. This is not possible. If someone has right view, he will never turn to another religion. He will never look up to another religion. Of course, we can talk about religious dialogue and so on. That is something else. But here is looking up to the Buddha as our teacher. We never turn away from him. Only the ordinary worldling, the ignorant person might do that. So those are the 6 items, 5 items rather, regarding right conduct, and also included with right view. Now comes with some interesting teachings in the suttas. Section 14, the Buddha and the other individuals, like universal monarch in this case. He understands that it is impossible. There's no chance that 2 worthy, fully self-awakened ones, Arahata Samma Sambuddha, would simultaneously arise in the same world system. This is not possible. This is very important. This is the Theravada teaching. No 2 Buddhas will arise in the same universe. It's not that the Buddha doesn't want competition. That's not the point. The point is you just need one teacher. It's just like in every department, you just have one professor or specialized in that area. So once the Buddha has arisen, it's like a scientist has invented the wheel or discovered fire. You just need one person, and this person teaches and others listen and follow. That's the meaning here. No? So you begin to see in later teachings, people try to be funny, or they try to attack Buddhism or sabotage Buddhism. They start telling stories and inventing sutras and say, oh, the two Buddhas appear in the world talking to each other and so on. So this is all fiction, which not only fiction, very nasty fiction, trying to attack early Buddhism. So here the point is we should understand that only one thing is possible. Only one Buddha, one worthy, fully self-awakened Buddha will arise in that same world. This is possible. 11, this is something, an Indian teaching. He understands that it is impossible, there's no chance that 2 universal monarchs would simultaneously arise in the same world system. This is not possible. Okay, these universal monarchs, they don't go to war. They conquer the whole continent by peace. Right, so this is something. So far, I can't name any historical universal monarch. Okay, we can think of Alexander, but I mean he's not in this category. Yeah, he is a world monarch. Yeah, but he's not a universal monarch because he goes to wars. So the idea here, the Buddha is teaching is the ideal leader goes by peace. That's the teaching here. All right. So there's only one such leader. You know, coming to think of it, the only person I can think of that is kind of universal monarch would be, for example, the Secretary General of the United Nations, something like that. You just need one such person to lead the United Nations for peace. That's the idea anyway. It's not someone who rule the world, right? Okay, now comes to that tricky part I was telling you about that kept you curious, no? Patriarchy in post-Buddha India. I'm just putting this line 15 to, you know, make happy some of those people who are more interested in theory and so-called engaged Buddhism today. But I'm more happy with the suttas. I'm more keen with the suttas. I'm trying to understand what the Buddha is saying. All right. All right, let's look at 12, brackets 12. He understands that it is impossible, there's no chance that a woman would become a fully self-awakened one. This is impossible. Wow, a lot of feminists are not happy with this. They say, oh, this is wrong, this is false. All kinds of theories come in. The Buddha couldn't have said this. I tell myself, let me not follow the crowd. Why don't I be curious and say, why did the sutta say this? There must be a reason. Wow, it took me 20 years, you know, to think about this one. And just a while ago, when I came out of my rest, I said, okay, I have a way out. So here you are. And he understands that it is possible. There is a chance that only a person would become a worthy, fully self-awakened one. That is possible. Okay, so some of you will say, this doesn't sound right. If it is the top two lines say woman, this last line must be a man, right? Grammatically, you are correct. Now, I checked the Pali word is purisa. Now, in the case of the woman, the Pali word is iti. Iti has only one sense, woman, female, right? Now, purisa, on the other hand, you can see note 54, it's all mentioned for you. It's all listed there. Purisa translates as person, man, individual, right? I put the word man last anyway. I told myself, if we translate this word person, I think we solve a lot of problems. Then we'll make the feminists happy and we don't have to quarrel. The question now is, what does it mean? How do we explain this choice of translation? It's not difficult, really. It's all given in the footnote, but let me explain to you live. Now, in this world, women are often trodden, made to suffer. In a sense, women suffer more than men, and we have to agree with that. The woman is the one who gives birth to us, and that pain a man will never know. And I think no woman can say, this is not so. A woman suffers more, right? So there you are. There's always already this idea of feminism there in that sense, right? Now, what I am troubled with is when we talk about feminists, we can end up being sexist. The masculine guy also becomes sexist. And so this is based on hate. So once it's based on hate, it's very troublesome. We get ourselves into a lot of trouble. Whether you're male or female, you can cause and get into a lot of trouble. So can we get the middle way? So I told myself, if we translate as person, it makes more sense. Look at this again. Only a person would become a fully enlightened, fully awakened Buddha. Person, individual. You don't call an animal a person, right? You only use the word person to refer to human beings, probably devas and human beings and above. So if you read it in that way, only a person, that means you must at least be a human being. If you go below the human world as a preta, animal, hungry ghost, you cannot be a Buddha. That makes good sense, doesn't it, right? So the springboard to becoming Buddha is the human world. So here the word person makes good sense. Now I have another explanation. The Buddha, the Burmese and traditional Buddhists would say he is omniscient. He knows what he's saying, and he knows today how we will react, right? So it's almost saying this with a smile, if you like. He's saying, okay, these people, they're going to quarrel over words, you know, they're going to say, oh, this is feminist, and this is anti-feminist. So he purposely put up this sentence, and he says, a woman cannot be Buddha, but a Purisa can. And he knows very well, Purisa, you don't have to translate as man. You can translate as a neutral term, person. The question is how to explain this, as I mentioned earlier. It has to do with being human. From the human state, you become Buddha, you awaken. Then there's no quarrel here. We're not talking about man or woman, a human person. Because a woman too can end up as a man. You know, so in other words, once a person is enlightened, his mind is neither male nor female. That's one way of putting it. I know it's not a 100% solution, but I wonder if anyone can come with a better explanation anyway. So this is something to think about, yeah? So this whole section, 12 to 16, 6 to 4, 5 parts, I've translated Purisa as person. He understands, I'm reading 13, he understands it is impossible, there's no chance that a woman would become a universal monarch, right? So world ruler, only a person can become a universal monarch. This also makes good sense, a human being. Now, the important thing is you must remember this. Is this important to us? Universal monarch, okay, you know, so there is this great king and so on, all right? So some ideas are important to us, some are not. So we don't have to worry about those that are not important to us. In time, as our wisdom grows, we will understand better. So we can hold on a while if you're not sure. So it doesn't matter. 14, he understands that it is impossible. There's no chance that a woman would attain a state of sakra, king of the lower heavens, the sense world heavens. Only a person can become a sakra, right? So you're born a human state, and then you rise into the state of into the reborn as a king of heaven, if you like, sakra. He understands that it is impossible. There's no chance that a woman can attain the state of Mara. Now, this is really interesting. Here again, I cannot but say the Buddha is showing his humor again, subtle humor. You really must attain you must really create some good karma to attain this state of Mara, as it were, you know. I mean, I'm just jesting. No person doing good with Mara. But here, Mara arises from the state of a human. This has quite some implication, you know, because I've not yet written my essay on Mara, but this makes me think more deeply. So the idea of Mara, who is the worst person in Buddhism compared to Satan and the devil and so on, he himself is not that strong like the Buddha. His task is always to distract us from doing good, right? So he is this person, very powerful. So he's able to like distract us in that sense. And so he comes from our world. That's the meaning here. I'll write more about this when I go into the essay on Mara, in a few more volumes to come. And then the 16 is on the state of Brahma. So here the Buddha says it is impossible that a woman will become Brahma, but only a person from this world become Brahma. Okay, someone from the human world does not so good deeds and is reborn as Brahma. Here is the higher God in the form world. So these are a few things to think about, right? So the Buddha is talking about how from the human state we can rise higher up. Now we're slowly coming to the end already. Now 16, unwholesome karma. He understands that it's impossible, there's no chance that a wish for desired agreeable result could arise from bodily misconduct. This is impossible. Here the meaning is, if you do something wrong, bad karma can never bring something good, something you want, something that will be enjoyable. Only it will only bring something you really don't want, something troubling. Bad karma only brings painful results. 18. Here is about speech karma. Karma arising through what we say. So if we say something negative, like a lie and so on, it will never bring something agreeable, desirable, something happy or pleasant. Right? It will only bring something that is painful to us. Then 19, let's go further down. And this time, a thought, a mental misconduct. If we think something bad, it will only bring something bad, suffering, pain. It will never bring anything good, right? So this is the 3 doors of karma: body, speech, and mind. If they are bad, it will bring something bad to us. Now, in the next part, 17 is just the opposite. This time is wholesome karma. Let me summarize this, because it's very easy. Here it means when we do something good through our body, like not killing, not stealing, not committing social misconduct, we also practice good verbal karma, telling the truth, talking, unifying words, useful words, pleasant speech, and have happy thoughts, good thoughts, loving kindness, all these 3 good karma, 3 doors of good karma, then the result also will be good. This is possible. All right. And then we come to the nearing a bit more, no? Bad destinies. He understands that it's impossible, there's no chance that bodily misconduct, when we do something bad, we will arise in a heavenly world. This is impossible, right? If we do something bad, let me summarize the 3 points here. If you do something bad through body, speech, or mind, this will never bring you happy rebirth, heavenly rebirth. It will only bring you suffering in the hell states, the lower realm, in the subhuman planes. That is possible. All right. Now all this comes in sets of 3s. Now we come to the last set, 19. We go down to 19 now. Good destinies. He understands that it's impossible, there's no chance that one engaging in good bodily conduct on that account, dependent on that after death, with the bodies breaking up, could arise in the plane of misery and evil destination, a lower realm in hell. This is impossible. Now, this is Indian language. It's negative language. Okay, you read the whole thing and it said this is impossible. So here, let me summarize these 3 sections. If you do good karma through body, speech, and mind, the 3 doors of karma, you will never arise in a suffering state. You will arise in a happy rebirth, sooner or later, surely. All right. So this is possible. To that extent, Ananda, it is right to say that a monk is skilled in the possible and the impossible. Okay. So this is the last line here. So it concludes the teaching. The Buddha said, that's it. All right. And then when this was said, 20, the Venerable Ananda said this to the Blessed One. It is marvelous, Bhante. It is wonderful, Bhante. What, Bhante, is the name of this Dhamma discourse? In that case, Ananda, this Dhamma discourse, remember it as the many elements, right? So this is the first name, Bahu Dhatuka. You can also remember it as the 4 cycles, Chatu Parivarta, right? Remember the 4 items right at the start. Remember it as the Dhamma mirror, Dhammadasa, Dhamma mirror, because you practice it, you see yourself in it, and there's a hint here, you can gain stream winning also, because Dhamma mirror also refers to stream winning. Remember it as the Dhamma drum, Dhamma dundibi, right? So when you beat the drum, you can hear Dhamma sound. Remember it as a supreme victory in battle. Anuttara Sangama Vijaya. This is also used in the Brahmajala Sutta. Here, the inner battle between good and evil. Right? So we are supremely victorious if we understand all this. We won't let something bad overcome us. The Blessed One said this, satisfied. The Venerable Ananda rejoiced in the Blessed One's word. So here we see Ananda is having a dialogue with the Buddha. In this case, and the monks are listening. The sutta ends here, and Ananda is very happy. So we end another wonderful, beautiful sutta. I'm so happy that I managed to at least kind of come up with some kind of solution to the section on women. Huh? Okay, question time now.
Thank you, Brother Piya. Pass the session to Sister Isaac.
Thank you, Sister Wendy. Thank you, Brother Piya, for the sutta teaching. Hey, brother and sister, if you have any questions, you can raise your hand and unmute to ask your questions. Brother Piya, at the moment, there's no question in the chat box.
Okay. So this sutta is quite direct, the structure is very straightforward, and the teachings, they use quite simple words. No? So it's a matter of, you can select which of the elements you want to study, start there, right? Or even a part of it. Look at the notes, because the notes will help you out. It's a guide to the sutta. Okay. All right.
Brother Piya, there's one. I have a question.
Yes.
That one about the mind object element. That's where the Dhamma, Dhatu.
Yes. What number is it, by the way?
That was in the front from the 18 elements. There was the
Section,
eye, the ear.
Section number, please. Always refer to section number, it's easy. What is the number? The number is there.
I think number 17, or the mind objects element.
What is the black number, the dark, the bold number? 17, okay. Section 4, no? So can you
the
see
very
number
beginning.
4 there? Yeah, can you see number 4 there? Always get used to this either. You look at the number that you see 4, this is section 4. All right. And then you go down bracket 17, the mind object element. Yes, what is your question?
Yeah, this one during the meditation, you always have to look at it with objectivity. And then when I was meditating, and then when I was outside, and you see it's so beautiful, the object, you never look it as what is the objects. You don't concentrate on the beauty anymore, but what you bring inside in the meditation, with closing eyes, you have to look it with objectivity, and that is Dhamma.
Okay, and are you happy with that?
Yeah, that was, yeah, I'm happy with this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, we have to be, the teaching here is this, we tend to look for beauty out there, right?
Yeah.
So what the Buddha is saying here is that if you look, everything is beautiful, really beautiful, not just a song. In other words, it is not that thing going on out there, it's how you see it that makes it beautiful.
Yeah.
Because you are happy with it and you say, oh, now I understand. Then you feel joyful. That's the meaning.
Yeah.
Now here, this 16, 17, 18 is a little tricky. Because if you look at the terms themselves, you get lost. You say, oh dear, what does this mean? Because the word Dhammadhatu has become, gone into such very profound sense. But if you look at mind element, mind object element, and then mind consciousness element, they only mean 3 things. Mind element is that mental process, the mind.
Yeah.
Mind object is the external object, the thought.
Okay.
The thought, interestingly, is called external object, all right? But that's what it means. It's the thought. The mind is our ability to know. That's how we're putting it. And then there is the mind-object element is what we know. Then there is this link between the mind and what is known. That is called the mind consciousness element, what we are conscious of. Imagine it's like you have a camera, your mind is a camera, you know, and then you are watching the screen, just like you're watching the screen now. And then this camera is the second one, is the mind consciousness. No, sorry, this camera is the mind consciousness element. It moves around here and there, all right? And then you decide, okay, I want to look at this. So you have mind, the mind object, and the attention, your attention. So if you see something negative, you can turn your attention away. So you have a choice. That's the meaning here. That's called self-reliance.
Can we call it an investigation consciousness?
I don't know about that. I've not heard that one.
Investigating the Dhamma, like what you call it.
Yeah. Investigating, yes. It's a broad term. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It's good. Any other questions or feedback?
Thank you, Dr. Piya. There's question in the chat box from Sister Pamuja Ente. She's asking, is memory same as consciousness, please?
Memory is one aspect. The word sati sometimes, or rather, includes memory, right? Because you must have memory also to remember, okay, this is right, this is wrong, right? So memory is sometimes translated as sati, and it is part of our consciousness. All right?
Thank you, Teacher Piya.
Yeah, because the mind is a broad term, right? It includes all those things that involve how we think, how even feeling, emotions, karma, all this have to do with the mind. Okay. All right. Any other questions?
The next question from Brother LCO.
Okay.
He apologized for his late joining in.
Oh, we didn't know you are late until you apologize. Very good.
He found that this sutta very deep yet simple in the routine of repetitiveness of possible and impossible at the last hour of the sutta.
Yes.
Can you please help to recap what is impossible and yet is possible?
Oh, no, the sutta never said that. It's either A or B. It's either possible or it's impossible, okay? So basically, the Buddha is saying, if you're good, it's only possible that the results will be good. It is impossible that the result will be bad. All right, so the Buddha using this kind of dichotomy, if you like, in that sense. The Buddha didn't say both possible and impossible, right? That's only the title I use to show the list of items. I'm not, they are disjunctive. They are not conjunctive. They're not inclusive. No? They're either A or B. All right. If you find I'm not clear, just ask again, please. No? So anyway, read through the sutta again. It's not difficult. Before you sleep, just read. If you find the sutta too long, just read section 4. No, not 4, sorry. The last section is 50. Let me see, quite a long list of 28. Starting from number 12, section 12, right to the end. Just read through that. And then just glance at the notes if you like. That helps also. Section 12 onwards. Okay, any next question?
Thank you, Brother Piya. Next question from Brother Go Hen Kui.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Brother Piya, when the Buddha says 4(1), in so far as he sees them, to the extent the monk is skilled in the elements, what does he sees mean?
Understand.
Does the Buddha refer to seeing, not realizing, the 3 characteristics, or does it mean upon attaining one of the 4 stages of sainthood?
This one is referring to 4 brackets 1, right? So we're talking about
Yes.
18 elements. For example, I element, form, and then I consciousness, for example. No? All right, there are levels of understanding. For example, at our level, we know, okay, there's the I, and then you see something out there, and then when there's attention, there is sensing. Okay, that's the meaning. So you don't need to be enlightened to know this. Even whirling will know this. But here we reflect, this is how it happens. Whereas a whirling will not reflect on this. Okay, so we reflect in this way. Of course, those on the higher path, they are able to understand it better in their mind. They're able to see very quickly the nature of impermanence and dukkha in this kind of events. And if they're arahats, they can also see the non-self of it all. Okay, so I cannot go into detail because I'm not reached those level. I can only give you this kind of simple theoretical analysis. So it is, we are capable, even in our unawakened state, of seeing this. And this is our doorway, this is our tool to direct our mind towards the path. By seeing how this process happens, that it is a process, therefore everything is impermanent, they depend on each other, interdependence. So that's what we need to see. That's the meaning of seeing, interdependence, conditionality in this event of seeing, for example, and this applies to all the other 5 experiences also. Okay. Okay, any other
Thank
question?
you, Dr. Piya. There's no more question at the moment in the chat box.
Okay, we have about 10 minutes more. The sutta, when I look at it first, the sutta was quite long. I was telling myself, oh dear, I hope there's enough time for questions. That's good that we finish in time. Huh?
Brother Piya, another question from Brother Go and Kui.
Yes.
Brother Piya, on section 18, referring to bad destinies,
Yes.
how do we reconcile this in the case of Angulimala? Thank you.
Angulimala depends at which point in his life you're looking at. See, well, if you look at the overall life of Angulimala, he has done good deeds, and then in the end, he meets the Buddha and he becomes an arahat. That is the case in point, that someone who has done good will never end up bad. You see, so you see Angulimala becoming good, so becoming an arahat. So that's the first point. His life story is like that. But in between, yes, he goes through a lot of suffering, maybe ripening of past karma, if you like. But then there is present conditions too. The present condition is he went to a wrong teacher. He went to a bad teacher. So when you meet a bad teacher, this bad teacher attracts your bad karma, and this bad karma ripens and make you suffer. That is because you allow it to happen. So, of course, it might be beyond your control at that time. That's because of ignorance. Okay? So that will be explained by the bad karma ripening. So we're talking about karma at different levels. What's karma? Nobody is like totally good, totally bad, right? So there are these different karma. We want the good karma to take priority, in other words. All of us are like that, right? So right now we are giving priority to our good karma. Okay, I hope that helps. No? Okay, next question.
Thank you, Brother Piya. And that's it at the moment. Thank you.
Okay. Can we take a photo meantime while waiting? Ratna?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Lights on. Okay, get ready. Yeah, so let's like this part. You can see other people. No? Okay. Doris, some light, please. That's very dark. Can't see your face, Doris. Okay. Winston, no camera. Okay. All right. Smile, you can coming here.
Still no light.
I'll see you a
Doris,
bit
we can't
blur.
see you.
Yeah.
You got a light or not? I can turn on your light.
Sumitra Khan is not there. Oh, yes. Oh, I see you're quite far away. Okay. I see you. Where are you?
Camera is blur.
Okay. Yes. Now it's
Now it's
clear.
better.
Yes. Okay. Now it's too bright. Now it's too bright.
It's too blur. Okay, it's better now.
Okay. Very good.
All right. You ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3, smile. Thank you very much, everybody. Yes, taken photo.
Yesterday, when the Buddha smiles, you'll just see a bit of his teeth on it. I mean, these are some descriptions, traditional descriptions. All right. Any more questions? We still have what, about under 10 minutes?
No question in the chat box, Brother Piya.
Okay.
Any brother and sister would like to ask verbally?
Yes,
Liu.
Brother Pierre, may
Yeah,
I
sure.
seek some
Yeah.
clarification?
Okay.
Liu Kiok.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, okay.
It's concerning the police part
Voice.
of the sutta that which you translated as person.
Okay.
As I listened to you and seated here, I was thinking, anyone who attains arahatship, arahantship, or becomes a Buddha, would have first attained perfect equanimity. Perfect equanimity. With perfect equanimity, there is no more duality. There is no more you, I, male, female, man, or woman.
Okay.
So I don't know whether this part, about equanimity comes into the picture. So that's why the Buddha did not use the word man or woman. In the sutta we have, the women will not become Buddha. For all we know, it could have been changed. The man would not become a Buddha. You have to transcend this state of duality. That's what I was thinking of.
That's one way of looking at it, yeah. So in a manner of speaking, neither man nor woman can become all these high states, especially as a Buddha, because the Buddha has gone beyond all this classification of a man, a woman, right? He's awakened. Because these are what should we say, sex-based differentiations, right? Where the Buddha is more of a kind of something like more on the mental level, if you like, but even beyond the mental level. So we're talking about quite something else. Yeah, of course, you go into the philosophy of it, it's quite a lot of things to talk about. Yes, interesting thinking, yeah. That's why I thought, this word person might help you to think a bit more instead of thinking in terms of a duality. Then we have less problems about feminism and masculinism and so on. I just learned a new spelling. All the while, I thought that the word is feminism. Ratna corrected me. It's feminism. I was quite surprised. I look up a dictionary. That's quite correct. It's feminism. You know, it's not femininism. Because I thought feminist is the adjective. You know, so we learn new things every time. Huh? So then we assume, and that was long ago. That couple of years ago, I thought when you in English normally you spell the past tense with a double S, like focus. Nah? Focus, you have a double S. All the while, focused past tense, only one S. So these are little things we learn as we go along. Okay, any other questions? 5 minutes more.
Yeah, I got a long comment from Brother Low. Can I read it? And he wants your response.
Okay.
Says that this is from, how is that a man killer could be an arahat? Buddha Dasa Bhikkhu explained that Buddha Dasa Bhikkhu explained that which is called the person or the individual has to be killed before one can be an arahat. If what we call the person has not been killed, there is no way that one can be an arahat. One has first to kill the idea of the person, of self or of I and he or she, of animal or being. That is, there must cease to be an attachment to the idea that there is an animal, there is a person. This is an abiding entity. This is a self. To do this is to kill the person or to kill off the thing we refer to as a person. Doing this, one simultaneously becomes an arahat. Hence, it is said one has to kill off the person before one can be an arahat. The Buddha sometimes used stronger words than this. He said on several occasions that the parents must be killed before one can be an arahat. The parents are the mental department and so on. So I think the rest is not relevant. So can you please just give a comment on this?
Well, the Buddha Dasa says it. I don't think I need to comment much. He's a very wise teacher. You know, when Buddha Dasa was alive, I once sent him one of my books because there was a bit of talk about him, you know, so I know some of his students. And I was told that he actually said this, and I said, oh, this Piya, you should watch him. You should watch him. I hope what he meant was good, you know. So that was, I take it as a compliment for him. I never met him, but he's one of those leading teachers in Thailand. Right? He's actually Chinese, by the way. I mean, in Thailand, they don't differentiate people by race. They're all Thais. That's another interesting point. So yes, I have nothing to add. Those are wise words of Buddha Dasa, and the Buddha does use what's called intentional language, right? So the word kill is just another word meaning to destroy, to remove, right? So yes, I agree with that. I always agree with if the long statements are wise, okay? All right, any other quick last minute questions? We just got a few more minutes. Well, I'm happy we managed to do this sutta. I like these short and sweet suttas, which are full of wisdom. But even then, we should, as I said, we should take parts of it, and then it's just like taking food, you know. We take a bit of it, and we bite it, we chew it, we digest it properly. That's why we often say we should digest this teaching. In other words, absorb it properly. So do reflect on this teaching occasionally. Okay, no more questions, huh? Right, so this time to end also. Okay, here we are, closing reflection. Once again, let us spend this quiet moment to remember the effort we have made to gather together here from different parts of the world. We have made a sacrifice of time. It is a form of renunciation. We have put aside so many things to be here. So by all these good deeds we have done, keeping the precepts and taking refuge in the Buddha, meditating, listening to the Dhamma, asking questions, may we be well, may we be happy, may we be at peace with ourselves. And also let us send these wonderful kind thoughts to our loved ones, our teachers, wherever they are. Wish them well and happy. And this is the time for us to recall what brings us together here. That's the Buddha, our teacher, the Dhamma, the teaching, the true teaching, and the Sangha, the noble ones who follow the teaching and are exemplars for us. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi. Bow down. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami. Bow down. Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sanghang Namami. Bow down. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.